special guest. We have one of the OGs. I'm going to let him kind of share how we got started and everything, but Frank is one of the few that have been here from the jump. So Frank's been with the company since the company opened. He helped Sean start the company, a decade ago. Frank is an integrity partner. He has one of the biggest agencies in the company, as well as a multiple Hall of Fame producer and a really good annuity producer at that. So Frank's going to come on and share how to find the money. Once you find the money, how to get that process started and then get that money to the company and get that annuity funded. So Frank, super excited to have you on, man. How you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Good. I like those posters you have there in the background.
Thanks, man. Good. You should see the one in the bathroom.
So Frank, if you can just quickly share in terms of annuities, how long you've been selling them for, how many on average that you've sold, and then we'll just kind of get into some training.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was like probably most of the people on this call. I didn't write a ton of annuities. I didn't write any annuities, probably the first 2.5, 3 years in business. And I didn't write them because I ran in Baltimore City. And so, if you've ever been to Baltimore, which I don't know, you guys are on the West Coast, you probably have not. It's not a rich city. It's pretty poor in the sense of like class wise. Now they need insurance, so it was great for me because they all wanted insurance. And like, you're gonna die in Baltimore City, usually younger than you should. So people bought life insurance, but I didn't think they had any money. So this was probably in 2011. We were in Aruba for a trip with the company we were at before Family First Life. And I was actually talking to Matt Smith, and he's like, dude, why don't you write annuities? I was like, dude, I work in Baltimore City, knock it off. They have no money. He's like, you're a fool. I'm like, okay. He's like, I bet you $1,000 if you ask the next 10 people, you'll find at least 3 that have money. I was like, deal. So we got back from the trip. I went back out in the field and I started asking, and sure enough, it was actually 5 of the 10 had some sort of IRA, 401k, TSP. And I wrote 2 that first week. And then it was off to the races. And the funny thing is, I didn't really think they were complicated. I didn't know much about them, but when I dove into it, I realized like, this is pretty simple. You're either going to make money or you're going to stay the same. So there's not much to it in the sense of, what do I need to know to sell annuities? You don't really need to know much, I promise you. Because I'm not, every one of you on this call probably know more about the products than I do. I'm not a product guy. I'm not a in details guy. I go help people with what they need. And when you can take somebody's money and go, you know what, how about I guarantee you never lose a dime. And if the market's doing well, your money's going to grow. And oh, by the way, we're not going to charge any fees. They go, that's too good to be true. I said, try me. Get the contract, take it to an attorney. In fact, I'll pay the $500 for you to have an attorney review it. And if he tells you I'm full of shit, pardon my French, you can send it back. This is how I would talk in Baltimore City, because you have to.
Yeah.
And it worked. And so people were like, every appointment I went into, I'm like, what do you have that acts like life insurance, IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP? And I would figure out if they had anything that we could potentially help them with. And if they said yes, I would go, okay, perfect. Remind me at the end of this to tell you something. I might be able to help you. And I would just move on. Right. So I'd put a little bug in their ear. And then, hey, I didn't want to forget, but I usually wouldn't. But I also wanted to kind of give them an idea that I'm going to talk to them about it after I did what I was there for. And it's funny because one of the biggest annuities I wrote, it was probably my 4th or 5th annuity. And I pull up to this appointment, and it's so I would call leads. And if I didn't set the appointment, I'd give the leads to Jamie. And I would write stuff on him like, guy was an ass, jerk, And so she got a lead, and I had written something on it, and it wasn't nice. And she set the appointment. I'm like, seriously? So she would cut it off and recopy the lead so I wouldn't know who it was. And I get there, and the fence, it's like a picket fence, but half of the pickets are gone. The grass is 3 foot tall. I was afraid to walk up the steps because it looked like they were going to fall down. And when I knocked on the door, this woman answered the phone, and Hayden, I shit you not, she had a mustache and 4 teeth in her mouth. I'm like, what am I doing here? So I go in and I sit down, and the house is a complete disaster. And I'm going through the mortgage protection deal, and obviously using a client intake sheet. And I go, dude, what do you have that acts like life insurance? IRA, 401k, 403b. He goes, I actually have a 401k. I was like, awesome. How much do you have in it? He said 750. I said $750. And he went, no, 750,000. I was like, huh? Why don't you have any teeth? Like, why is your carpet look like? He's like, I don't spend money. I've been saving since I was 20, and I'm going to retire next month. I actually don't know what I want to do with this money. So I wrote him a mortgage protection plan for like, well, how we going? Families protected, 3.5 families protected. And then I walked out to my car, got an annuity app, ran an illustration and said, dude, here's what you can do. And 45 minutes later, wrote $750,000 annuity. I made a bunch of money in literally an hour and a half. And the funny thing is, I would have never asked that question prior to, if I'd have met that guy 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I would have never asked. And I almost didn't ask, but it just started to become a habit of following the client intake sheet. And that's what's crazy is, y'all write you write some IUL business. I know, because some of those numbers you have to be doing some IULs.
Yeah.
You're writing final expense. I've in the last month, like, we have the IUL leads come in, they set on the calendars, and my schedule's full of recruiting appointments. But if somebody gets on my calendar for an IUL appointment, I'll take it. I've had 4. 3 of the 4 had money that they could move. 2 of them are moving forward. So I'm going like, I've talked to 4, 3 had money, 2 want an annuity. If you're running IUL appointments, where's the annuity money? You guys are like leaving money on the table. And the easiest way to keep a client for life is to have multiple policies in one home.
Correct.
But you can't do that if you're not asking the full questions. And why would you not want to service that client the best you can? I mean, the economy's awful. The market's crazy. People are losing money. They're scared to death. If you can show them a simple illustration, can I share my screen, Hayden?
Yep.
All right, let me get to this. Let's see if I can do this.
So while he's pulling it up, guys, I'll share. I had the same exact experience. You have to ask the question every single appointment. Literally, probably the hardest, like Frank said, this is not difficult. The hardest part is finding the clients. Well, if you don't ask, you're never going to find the clients unless you're buying annuity leads, which is a whole different conversation.
What do you see up?
How does an index annuity work?
Perfect. So when I would be in an appointment, and I'm going to get to like how you find the money, what you do when to find the money. But guys, this is how simple it is to close an annuity. This would be on the back of the lead sheet. Remember, I mean, we used to get mail-in leads, and I'd print them out, and I'd go with a piece of paper in my hand, and I'd flip it over. And I would literally draw this diagram on the back of the lead sheet. And I go, listen, when the money goes up, Hayden, your money is growing when the market goes up. When the market drops, I put a circle on it, like an airbag pops out and your money just levels off. When it starts to go up again, the market, your money will start to grow again. And when it drops, an airbag pops out and saves your money, just stays level. And it does this as long as you keep the annuity. So you're either going to make money or stay the same. That's it. That was my annuity presentation. And it worked 90% of the time. 10% of the time, I'd have somebody that was, thought they were really financially intelligent and they want to ask me a bunch of questions. But most of the time, people are like, that's pretty awesome. How do I do that? So that's what I want, because it's really that simple. So my point is, again, none of this really matters if you don't start asking the questions. And so if you guys can just, do you know if your team uses the client intake sheet?
They do. Yep.
All right. So do you think maybe they're just skipping over the question, or they're asking it, but then they go, okay, they just leave it?
I think it's either they're not asking or they're just asking to see if they have a life policy. If they say, oh yeah, I have a life policy and a 401k, it's just skipping over, just going straight into the life sale.
Okay. All right. So here's how annuities get paid. For if you were to transfer, say Hayden had an old 401k from a previous job, and we shifted it into Athene Performance Elite, $100,000 would pay you at the lowest annuity comp $5,000 at 5%. And then I think it's $150,000 to move up to the next level, which I think is 5.5.
Yep.
And then you go to 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5.
Yep.
It's an extra. So I can tell you, without annuities, I wouldn't be sitting here today. It seemed like every time that something went to agent left and rolled debt, or I had a big charge back, it seemed like I'd have an annuity fund that would bring my bank account flush and keep me going. So in the beginning, it's just a matter of setting that in your head and following that simple client intake sheet and asking that question. And then following up with the golden question. If I could show you a way to take advantage of the upside of the market, but eliminate the downside risk, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about? And again, to me, the most important part of that is, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about? Because I'm not trying to pitch them right then and there. I
Yep.
did, like, a lot of times I would do a one sit close, like I'd write them insurance and I'd write the annuity. But I think as most of y'all are in the telesale game, to me, it's you're building trust, right? So I'd definitely write the insurance, call them when, a week later, make sure they got their policy in the mail, and just keep building that trust, so that then when it's time to pitch the annuity, they already know you, they've already had that contact with you, because the more times you contact a client, obviously the better off you are. But it's not going to be as simple as, all right, here's your annuity presentation, let's buy. In the majority of the cases, it's a 2 or 3 call process before they'll actually fill out the application, which is no big deal because the calls aren't but 10-15 minutes long. It doesn't take very long to go through this. Do you want me to pull up an illustration?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All
So
right, let me find one.
if you're new, guys, these would be the steps. The steps would be: one, we're going to get contracted with Athene. We're going to go through their training thing. They'd be ready to sell annuities. 2 is you run your life appointments and you ask the golden question. If you find money, then great. You ask them how much money they'd be willing to put into it. If it's non-qualified or qualified, all that's meaning is it, 401k IRA, savings, checking, or are we talking Roth IRA? Maybe it's still with the employer, etc. Once we get those details, just like Frank said, we're not selling them on the spot most of the time. From there, we're going to the AMS team or the SRS team, and we're getting an illustration that they'll help you make. They'll do it for you. And then if you have any questions, you can ask them, or you can ask Frank or Upline or anyone that knows that you're working with. And then you're just presenting and sending the app through. And the app is really no different than just a simple life app. It's just more financial questions, no medical questions.
Yeah, and I'll go through the process of what you do when you find money, how easy it is, and the options that are there. So this is a Performance Elite 15 illustration. Okay, you're gonna see, and again, guys, like, there's, I think, what does it say, 25 pages. When I'm with a client, I go through like 3 of them. Okay, because it really doesn't matter. It's a lot of this is legal mumbo jumbo. What they're really concerned about is what their money's going to do. So I would find the page where it shows their money. Okay. So the way the Performance Elite works is, again, I show them that illustration where the line goes up and then airbag pops out. So the first sheet I'll show them is the one with a 0% interest rate. And I go, remember I showed you that illustration where if the money goes down, your money is, if the market goes down, your money's just going to stay the same. Well, that is this. And it shows it to you over the next 25 years, which is historically impossible in the market. But if the market was down for the next 25 years, you could see you actually put 40,000 and you got a $6,000 bonus. And that value is $46,000. Okay. Now, the death benefit will start to increase the longer it's in here, but most of the time it's just going to be 46 grand. And I show them this to have them see that there are no fees, because if the market was at 0 and they charged a fee, this value would decrease. So I go, there's no fees on it. So your 46 grand stays the same no matter what, if the market's crashing for the next 10, 15 years. Now, if that happens, we got bigger problems, but just wanted to show you that that's what it looks like. And then we go to a non-guarantee, which is the most recent 10 years, right? I go, okay, so we can look at this. Where did this come? Oh, shoot, this is for a kid. Okay. 0%. I scrolled too fast. Hold on. All right, so we start with 46 grand, and here's what it looks like in a normal market. Okay, hypothetically, most recent 10-year period. If you had money in the market over the last 10 years, this is what that illustration will look like. So after year 1, you're at 50 grand. After year 2, I mean, and some of these rates get stupid, but
Yep.
over the last 10 years, we had 4 really good years in the market. So year two looking like 36%, year 3.6. Now, again, it's non-guaranteed, but this is what the last 10 years looked like. The cool thing is, Hayden, we had some okay times in 2013. The market was still recovering from 2009, and it started to get better 14, 15, 16. And then it was good from 18, really good from 18 to 22, right? Or 18 to or 16 to 20.
Yep.
And then it started to decrease again in 21, 22, obviously COVID. So we've got a mixture of everything in the last 10 years. Okay market, really bad market, really good market. So this is a decent average. So Hayden, you started with 30 or 40 grand at the age of 28. Let's see, at the age of 50, it's 472 grand. Okay. Now it might be 350 grand, it might be 550 grand, but it's going to be close to that, assuming that the market performs close to what it has the last 10 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good news is you're either going to look something like this, or the market's terrible and you're going to keep your money and look something like this. Does that make sense to you? So can you see how this would be beneficial to you at this point?
Yep.
All right, I need you to grab me a driver's license and a statement, like whatever it is, and I move forward. Again, that's literally the pitch. Now you got guys like Brad Allen, David Allen, like these guys are machines, and even like, you know, Sean Ruggiero, if you knew him, he's a really smart guy. And when I would listen to him, I'm like, dude, I mean, you're really smart. I learn a lot when I listen to you, but I couldn't speak the way you're speaking to us, to my clients, because it's not the clientele. Now, if you're in a high eclectic area where the net worth is really high and the people are really intelligent, you might need to shine up that presentation a little bit. But the majority of our blue collar clients, dude, that's good enough. And they
Yeah.
just want to know that you're going to be there to help them and you're real. You're not lying to them. And that's the biggest deal is most of these financial advisors spin the truth to keep their clients money, and they don't like it. They don't want to pay 2, 3, 4, 5% a year. They don't want to not get called at the market. If somebody has 46 grand in the market and the market crashes, dude, they're not going to get a phone call. They're only dealing with the people that have $500,000 in net worth or more. That's who they care about. Our average annuity is about 120 grand.
Sure.
You write 1 or 2 of those a month, you're cash flow flush. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So if you're not in a financial situation you want to be, then just start asking a question. So when you find the money, you could go to ILC, the Ask a Specialist button's on there, or you can go to the FFLSRS.com. The Ask a Specialist button's on there. And all you do is hit the Ask a Specialist button and fill out the questions that they ask you. They're going to ask you how much they have. I think if it's qualified, non-qualified, what their long-term goals, short-term goals are. And if you have account statement, upload it. And then what they'll do is you have 3 options. You can do just you want the illustration with bullet points on the product that they're suggesting you sell, like the PE15. The bullet points would be there's no risks, there's no caps, there's no fees, 5% liquidity after year 1, things like that. And then if you had a lifetime income policy, they would have lifetime income on there. If you had your spouse rider on there, it would be lifetime income for you and your spouse. Whatever the top notes are of that policy would be on the bullet points that they send you. That's option 1. You can get the illustration and application and the bullet points. Option 2 is you're pretty comfortable, but you're not 100% comfortable, and you want a professional, an SRS agent to be on call for you when you're in the home, after you get done the appointment, maybe getting it submitted, transferring the money, and you could do a 90-10 split with that. And someone will be on call 24/7. You keep 90, the SRS specialist will keep 10. And then the third option is a 50-50 split. You go, you know what? I don't know anything. I want to watch you do what you do. I want you to do all the work and teach me as you go. And I'll give you 50%. I keep 50%. That to me is like that option wasn't available for me. And if it was, my very, very first, and I never sold annuities, but when I worked at the last company, I sold one annuity. It was to my dad because he was retiring and he needed to do something with his money. And if I'd have had somebody that would have done that with me, my dad would have probably been in a better situation, because the guy that told me what to do didn't know what he was doing. And I found this out later. And it's not a bad product, because my dad never lost a dime. He earned money. It's got lifetime income. But we could have done something a little bit better for him. And if I'd have had somebody walking me through that process that really knew what they were doing, he'd probably be in just a little bit better situation now than he is. So, but that 50-50 option is good if you want to learn. It should only take, I mean, what, 1 or 2 times, Hayden, to
Yeah,
watch somebody sell an annuity and
for
go
sure.
through the application and transfer the funds and deal with all the stuff they got to deal with. And it's worth it, because moving forward, I mean, some of these numbers we're seeing, dude, they're insane. Brad Allen might do 10 million in annuity volume this year.
Yeah,
Like, it's unheard of. And y'all, like, 10 million, it's like 700 grand.
yeah,
I mean, like, what?
yeah,
So, and that's the kind of money. And he, oh, by the way, he writes life insurance too. So, I mean, that's just the annuity side. And he doesn't, here's what's crazy. He doesn't buy annuity leads. He's tried them. They sell them for $300, $400, $500 a piece, and they all suck. I've tried them before too. They suck. Your
yeah,
best bet, and again, with the IULs, there's no doubt that 4 or 5 out of 10 people have some sort of money
yeah.
set aside that you could probably help them with. So instead of just doing the IUL, why not ask that question? And then with final expense, same thing. We're dealing with seniors, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. They have money. Not all of them, but I'd say probably at least 1 or 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
So if you, and oh, here's going to be the fourth option. It's not on there yet, but I'm pushing for it. And so it's going to happen. It's a referral fee. You go, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with it. I'm going to ask the question, and then at the end of the appointment, I'm going to go, hey, we're going to have someone from our retirement team reach out to you. Just look out for their call, and then you're going to pass the name and number off to the SRS team. And then when that agent, the SRS agent, writes that policy, they'll just flip you 10% for giving them a name and a number. That's another option that will be coming. But to me, I'm going like, why would you give up that money when it's just as easy for you to write it? I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. And you do, you got people on here. I mean, Julius, you know, he's in your top, like, he writes a ton of annuities. He was just on the we
Yeah.
did a TNL with him
Yep.
just last week, I think, you know, and so you guys got people on this team that know what they're doing. I think it's just a matter of committing to asking that question, Hayden. And what I'm asking all the integrity leaders to do is, can we start reading annuity volume on a weekly basis? Because the more we talk about it, the more they'll think about it, and the more likely they are to do it. Here's a sickening number. We have, on a weekly average, FFL as a whole has 7,000 agents submit life insurance. Out of that 7,000, how many do you think submit an annuity?
500.
100.
Wow.
It's sickening. And it should be, if FFL does a $500 million in life volume, the annuity volume should be close to 2 billion. Like that's the number. So we're so far behind in this game that this company could really quadruple if we all organically just say, you know what, we're gonna do it all. And Sean used to talk about the 4 quadrants of insurance: mortgage protection, final expense, annuities, and IULs. Well, mortgage protection is it's not gone, but it's not as prevalent as it was, you know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But final expense and IULs are huge. You got to add that third quadrant. I'm telling you, your income will increase significantly if you do if you do all 4. I mean, and you can't do mortgage protection right now. You can only do some, but increase it by just adding that quadrant, and you're not really doing any extra work. To me, I'd much rather run a second appointment with somebody I've already talked to, right? It's so much easier when I've built a rapport. I spent a half hour or 45 minutes on the phone with you helping with life insurance. I don't have to go through all that crap again. Why wouldn't you want to have a repeat client?
Yep.
So we're pushing and in a good way to I'm pushing to get lists of orphan agents or orphan clients of agents that have left, so we can start calling them, asking. I'm pushing for them to just give us a list of clients that don't have an annuity, because we just want to have somebody call them and go, hey, we're following up with you. We know you have life insurance with us. Do you have anything that you could, you know, that acts like life insurance, IRA, 401k, that you'd love to not have market exposure to? I mean, it's all this stuff we're throwing around, but you guys have the ability to do a lot, a lot. I mean, what are you guys doing on a monthly basis? 5,000 families?
6,500, 7,000.
Okay. I mean, that could be at 14,
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
A couple of things, guys. One is the bonus that Frank showed on the illustration. I think now it's close to 20. It was around like 16, 17%. So literally someone moves their money. I heard Brad say, hey, Frank, what do you have, etc. Hey, what did you lose last year? I lost, 10%. It crushed me. Hey, what if we could get all those losses back plus some and grow your money, no risk? So that's a really big thing, the bonus. If they have another annuity currently and there's surrender fees, typically a 20% bonus is going to cover most, if not all those. So that's another angle. And then someone just texted me and they said, these sound too good to be true. What's the catch? And sometimes clients will say that. The catch, the only catch there is, which isn't a catch, but it is liquidity. If someone had it in checking or savings or 401k IRA, once they're past retirement age, they can pull all of it out right now. If they wanted to, they go buy something. With the annuity, because it has to annuitize, they can take 10% out per year with no penalties. If they don't take out 10 the first year, the second year they can take out 20, so it turns over. So those are two things. And then just like Frank said, guys, we have so many past clients, and if you just are learning about annuities now and you've never sold them, that's fine. I would start by calling them and saying, hey, Frank, it's Hayden. I sold you that final expensive mortgage protection policy, a year or two ago. How you doing? Hey, great. We have a new department called the Simpler Retirement Solutions, and now I can sell annuities. And then you go into it. So just being smart with our resources, guys, is so important.
There's your surrender charges right there. And thank you for bringing that up, because I do usually go over that. But here's what I would say to you about people being able to take their money out and going and spend it. 401ks, TSPs, IRAs, all these qualified accounts, pre-tax savings, retirement plans, they weren't meant for that. In fact, if you have 3, 4, 500 grand in a 401k and you retire at 65 and you draw all of that money, you're paying income taxes on 400 grand, which means you're going to keep 250,000. You're giving up 150 grand because of that. So these plans were built to subsidize Social Security. And in an annuity, that's all that really does. With the plan I showed, you could take 5% a year. And if you talk to most financial advisors, they will tell you to draw no more than 5% a year to have that money last as long as humanly possible. So they give you the ability to draw that 5% a year. And again, you do have to go over the surrender charges, but most people aren't set up to, they're not putting the money away to pull it all out and spend it in one shot. They're putting it away so that they get their Social Security, maybe a small pension, and they can draw from that 401k to subsidize that so they can live a normal, comfortable retirement life. So you go over that page for sure. But it to me, 401ks, and they already have a built-in surrender charge with either if they're below 60 or 59.5, the penalty. If they're older than 69, the more they take, the more taxes they pay. And why do that? You know what I mean? They're giving Uncle Sam enough. You want to give him more? Heck no.
Yep. Very good.
Sorry.
One last thing, guys. If you noticed on that chart, surrender charge is 15% the first year, and then it goes down. Do you really think someone that, they go through everything, they write a check, they send the money to, Athene, they get this big 18, 20, 22% bonus. Do you think they're going to want to, one, give back the bonus and not have it, but two, pay a 15% fee after writing that check to cancel the annuity in the first 30 days, year, whatever? No. And so what that means is these are almost uncharged backable, meaning almost everyone you write, once it goes through, you're not going to get any chargebacks. And so talking about adding non-charge backable income streams and being profitable, what can one or two of these do for you guys a month? It would be insane.
I probably have 50 annuity clients, and I've had one chargeback. And the only reason it would charge back is because the accountant or the CPA literally lied to the client, like through their teeth. And once he got a hold of him, I couldn't get the guy back on the phone. I was so mad, but we rolled a 401k, and here's what Scott told you. Had $3 million. I took just one, and we put it into, he was worried about He was 60. His wife was 30. Okay. And he was worried about when he died, she was going to be okay. So I took $1 million and put it into a lifetime income deal. And he took, and the CPA told him that he was going to pay taxes now because he moved that money. And I couldn't get it back on the phone. But out of 50 plus clients, I've had one that charged back, and it was because they were lied to. So I learned from that. Like, I prep them big time when I talk to them. And again, it just rarely happens. And I agree with you, Hayden. It's a good idea. And what you just said, hey, we have the ability to help people with their retirement and annuities now. Like,
Yeah.
you mind if we chat for a minute? It's a fantastic pitch.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
One last question for you, Frank. Those, the withdrawals, the 10%, if you take those out yearly, are those taxable or no?
If it's a qualified account, meaning it came from a pre-tax retirement plan, 401k, IRA, TSP, when you draw the money out, it's just like income. So at the end of the year, when you file income taxes, let's just say you're still working a part-time job and you made 20 grand and you took 12,000 from your annuity. Your total income for that year would be 32 grand.
Got it. So that's non-qualified. If it's qualified, then no taxes because you already paid taxes on it.
Backwards. If it's qualified, you pay taxes. Non-qualified, you don't pay taxes. You don't pay income taxes. There may be some small capital gains taxes, but it's usually not much.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. Anything else?
As far as the question, it's too good to be true. You will get that. And again, when I said at the beginning, like I say, I hear you. And here's what I advise all my clients to do. We have to get you approved through suitability. And the way this works is the insurance company, because it's an insurance company, they're required to give you 30 days to look at the contract. So once everything gets approved and goes through, we're going to bring you a contract. The day I bring it to you, the 30-day start. I advise you to take it to somebody who knows how to read contracts and have them read through it. And what I'm telling you is that you can't lose any money due to the market. If it's the regular PE15, there are no fees. If it's the performance lead plus or an income and there's a fee on there, I'll say you have a rider fee. And there's no caps in the markets we're in. And I have somebody look through it. And if they tell you that I'm full of it, bring it back to me. I'll send it back to the insurance company and they'll put the money right back where it came from. No harm, no foul.
Awesome. Cool. Well, hey, this was super helpful. Thank you very much. We're definitely going to start asking the question every single time and get that annuity volume up because it's just sitting out there for us to help people and take it. So thank you for getting on. This is going to be on YouTube. So guys, if any of your teammates couldn't get on, make sure they watch the recording. And if you want to go back and watch it, there were a lot of golden nuggets here to retake notes and be ready to rock some annuities. So
Appreciate y'all.
thanks, Frank. Talk to you guys soon.